Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris, and welcome to another Thoughtful Thursdays episode. Thanks to everyone tuning in today. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Hacking Your Leadership and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if this episode resonates with you as a leader, share it with your friends and coworkers. Hacking Your Leadership continues to grow in listenership and popularity because fans continue sharing episodes and discussing them with friends. All right, for this week's episode, I want to talk a little bit about confrontation. More importantly, how aversion to it often makes small amounts of tension in a professional relationship turn into something capable of ending that relationship or even derailing a career. We've all said and done things that have rubbed people the wrong way in our lives, and we've all been the recipients of words and actions that have rubbed us the wrong way as well. But the thing that separates people who experience this and are able to get through it from people who experience it and are unable to recover from it is an ability to get past the discomfort and the fear and the anxiety that preface an anticipated confrontation with a coworker if there's tension in that relationship. Confrontation sucks, there's no denying it. We'd rather just get along with everyone and have everyone like us. Nobody who's good at making and keeping relationships loves or relishes in confrontation. The people we know who always seem to be up for a fight don't tend to have a lot of fans. I was recently approached by a colleague who wanted some advice at an organization I work with. He said he felt that a member of his leadership team had it out for him, that he often felt singled out, that he seemed like there were things he was held accountable for that his coworkers were allowed to get away with. Now, I don't know how much of this is rooted in reality versus how much is incorrect perception, but the fact is this is how this employee feels, and I could tell it was really bothering him. It was causing him enough stress and anxiety that he had started to enjoy his job less, and this undoubtedly leads to a lack of engagement, lower performance, and ultimately the validation of whatever feelings this leader may have had for him. So I asked him semi-rhetorically, what did this person say when you brought it up to them? And he looked at me kind of startled as if to say, are you crazy? I can't bring it up to them. I knew he hadn't brought it up, but I wanted to start the dialogue with him on why he felt he couldn't. I've known plenty of people over the years who were absent from class the day they taught everyone how to cope with discomfort. And the one thing most, if not all of them, have in common is a tendency to fabricate terrible yet implausible potential outcomes to these situations that allow them to avoid the situations because the worst case scenario is just too risky a proposition. And the funny thing is that the moment they put words to these potential outcomes, they undoubtedly realize how absurd they really are, and they're able to begin to articulate what may actually happen. I didn't bring it up because I didn't want to risk losing my job. Really? Does your company have a policy against respectfully telling your leaders your concerns? When a person says this, what they really mean is they're afraid that confronting the leader with these concerns will make the leader feel attacked or painted into a corner. This will further deteriorate the relationship, leading to more singled out accountability and eventual loss of their job. And when articulated this way, the outcomes feel much more within our control. Now the goal becomes speaking out in a way that doesn't make the other person feel attacked, rather than just not speaking out at all. When I was a child and I would get into fights with my siblings, my mom would always tell me to tell them how they made me feel as opposed to telling them what they did wrong. You single me out sounds much different than I sometimes feel singled out. One is accusatory and puts the other person on the defensive. The other is inviting of a conversation that's much more likely to lead to clarification. Maybe my colleague's slacking off and the scorn he feels is warranted. Maybe he did something unintended that rubbed that leader the wrong way and now they're holding a grudge. Or maybe this leader believes my colleague doesn't like them and is having the same aversion to confrontation that he's having. There's no way to know until both people can talk to each other, lay it all out, and be okay with receiving criticism that is potentially hard to hear. But when you consider the alternatives to ripping this Band-Aid off and making the conversation happen, it doesn't seem anywhere near as bad. You're going to come to work stressed out forever? It's not sustainable, and it'll lead to the loss of your job anyway when you undoubtedly stop performing. Can you quit? I guess that's a short-term solution to this exact situation, but what happens when something similar takes place at your next job? You're going to change companies every year forever? You can't grow a career that way. If you're passionate about your job and you believe you're committed to doing great work, there's no way to avoid these rifts. Passionate people who are committed to doing good work often have different ideas on how things should work. But the longer these situations are left alone, the larger they grow. So if you're a leader, or if you want to be one someday, get better at having these conversations. Find a friend or someone you have a great relationship with and ask them to role play it with you. It will get easier with practice. No one should spend 40 hours a week working alongside a person that makes coming to work miserable. But we deserve the leadership we tolerate. So if you find yourself tolerating the stress of a broken relationship, fix it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on Monday.